What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be having a look at the movement speed as well as the fastest ways to get around the map in Call of Duty World War II. First, we're going to have a look at the different movement speeds depending on the weapon that's in your hand, and then from there we'll look at the basic training as well as division training skills that allow us to get around the map faster. So the first thing to know about Call of Duty World War II's movement speed is it is a little bit different than some of the other Call of Duties that we've seen in the past, and that is your movement speed is dictated by the weapon that's in your hand. With some Call of Duty games, your movement speed was determined by the heaviest gun that was currently in your inventory. That's not the case with World War II, so if you have an LMG, you will move faster when you pull out your pistol. So that's actually the first tip that I have for you guys, especially when you're in an opening route. If you're using an LMG or a rifle or just basically any type of weapon that gives you less than 100% movement speed, which we'll look at in a little bit here, it will be advantageous to pull out your pistol, assuming you have a pistol on the class and not a launcher, in order to get a faster opening route. So now let's have a look at the different movement speeds depending on the weapon type that's currently in your hand. For the pistols, the SMGs, and the shotguns, we get 100% movement speed. So these are all identical. Same thing goes with the melee weapons, I should mention. If you have a melee weapon in your hand, it's the exact same thing. And this means if you're in an opening route with a shotgun or an SMG, it's not advantageous to be pulling out your pistol in order to get a faster movement speed in your opening route. It's all going to be the same speed. The next category of weapons we have, though, is the sniper rifles as well as the rifles in this game. Both of those classes of weapons will allow you to move at 95%. So it is a little bit slower than the pistols and the SMGs, and this is where it starts to become advantageous to pull out that pistol, especially when you're in an opening route and you're not anticipating running into any enemies right away. And the final class that we have are the LMGs. The LMGs used to have a 90% movement speed, but recently they all got a buff, and now they have a 92.5 movement speed. So a little bit faster than they were, but still the slowest in the game. With these ones, it's definitely advantageous, especially in opening routes, to be pulling out your pistol to get better positioning. Now, so far, all of these movement speeds assume that we don't have any sort of basic training or division training skills that will alter our movement speeds. Now let's have a look at the various basic training and division training skills. First up, obviously, we're going to be having a look at Airborne. Now, the Airborne division has two different perks that directly affect our ability to move around the map. The first one is the second tier of the Airborne division. This one allows you to sprint for longer distances. And this is actually right in line with the extreme conditionings back in the day with previous Call of Duty games. Basically what this does is it takes your standard sprint duration of 4 seconds and it doubles it. So instead of 4 seconds, we can now sprint for a total time of 8 seconds regardless of the gun that's in our hand. This is extremely helpful when we're trying to sprint for a pretty large distance. If we're just doing a short burst of sprinting, it doesn't really help us that much at all because we can already sprint for that 4 seconds and the movement speed itself doesn't change with this particular tier. However, if we are trying to sprint all the way across the map, let's just say it's like capture the flag or something and we're trying to return the flag back to base and you've got to get from one end of the map to the other, this is definitely going to be helping you a lot. Now the next tier of the Airborne division that directly affects our ability to get around the map faster, this is the fourth and final tier, and with this one we actually get increased sprint speed. Now it should be noted that this doesn't affect your walking speed, so your base movement speed is not changed at all. This only comes into play when you're actually sprinting. And this increase to our sprint speed, based on my hand testing, is 6.5 to 7%. This is right in line with a lot of the lightweight perks in the previous Call of Duty games, so really no surprises here. Now let's have a look at a practical example of just how much the Airborne division is going to be helping you out. Keeping in mind the Airborne division here is maxed out. On the left we have no Airborne division and no energetic basic training skill, and on the right we have the Airborne division, once again without the energetic basic training skill. As you can see here, it's definitely noticeably faster to be running that Airborne division. It gets us from point A to point B quite a bit faster. Now the final thing we're going to be having a look at today is the energetic basic training skill. Energetic is the perk that allows us to recover from sprinting a lot faster. So when you run out of breath, you can get yourself sprinting sooner than you would without this basic training skill. Once again, this is a perk that really only applies when you're trying to sprint for longer distances. If you're only going to be sprinting for about 4 seconds anyway, this isn't going to be doing anything for you because it doesn't actually increase your movement speed at all. If, however, you're going to be sprinting pretty much across the map, this is going to be helping quite a bit. And what I was able to calculate, just based on my hand testing, is you recover about twice as fast with this energetic basic training skill equipped. So when you run out of breath and you want to get sprinting again, this allows you to catch your breath twice as fast. And just to wrap this up, I wanted to show you the difference between running none of these perks and running all of them combined. So on the left here, we have no perks that affect our movement speed whatsoever. We're not using Airborne, we're not using Energetic. And on the right, we are using the Airborne division as well as the Energetic basic training skill. It's very clear here that you get around the map a lot faster with this combination, but like I said, with a couple of these perks, they only really apply for those longer distances. If I were running a much shorter distance, you wouldn't see as big of a change here, but the longer the distances that you're covering, the more of a difference you're going to notice when you have all these perks equipped. And one more thing before we wrap this up that I wanted to mention, I kind of forgot to throw this in earlier. This is something that I've seen some people throw around here and there, and this is just a couple myths that I wanted to bust. First up, does charging with the infantry division bayonet on a rifle, does that allow you to sprint faster? I did a little bit of testing on this, and the answer is no. You don't get around the map any faster by activating that bayonet charge. I've seen a lot of people do this off of spawn. I don't know if they're doing it just because it's fun or because they think it gets them around the map faster. Just know that it doesn't. And the second thing here is somewhat similar. This is the weapon inspect. Some people have been saying that if you inspect your weapon while you're sprinting, it actually allows you to move slightly faster. This isn't true as well. It kind of looks like it, but I think it's just like an optical illusion with how your gun is positioned and everything like that. It doesn't actually get you around the map any faster. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's video on the fastest way to get around the map, as well as all the different movement speeds in Call of Duty World War II. I'd like to know in the comment section below, did any of this surprise you? And also, what do you guys think of the Energetic basic training skill? Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I feel like since we only have one perk to choose from, that's one of the last perks that I would ever choose, and really it only helps you when you're sprinting very long distances, like across the map, and generally I don't really need to do that. But I'd like to know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.